Good morning. Welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 346. I'm Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph, and today is Wednesday, 23rd. Yes, September 23rd. Yesterday was the 22nd, which was the autumnal equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere. I think it was at 9:30 a.m. yesterday here where I'm at. Anyway, so happy fall. It's officially fall no matter where you are at now, I guess, unless you're in the Southern Hemisphere. Then it's spring, so happy spring. How are you? I hope you are having a lovely September and a nice start to your fall or spring, depending on where you're at. The weather here has definitely turned fallish in the last week, which is not a complaint. I'm all about the cooler weather. My mom was here for the past week. They just left. Oh, excuse me. They just left yesterday, but because the house is getting crowded when we have that kind of, well, we don't have much company, but like with them here, we gave them our bedroom, which is again where I am recording, same as last time. It worked out pretty well, so we're gonna go with it. Anyway, we let them have our bedroom, and we put we have small motorcycle campers, so we set one of those up in the back underneath our deck, and my husband and I slept out there. It was getting down into the 30s this past week, which you would think would be pretty cold to be sleeping outside in a camper because it's just a pop-up. It's not like a hard-sided camper. But it was so cozy. Oh my gosh, we had our sleeping bags. I had a big puffy quilt. I was sleeping in all the fleecy and wool things. I had a shawl, hat, mittens a couple nights. It was great. So I was so cozy, and I just love these cool mornings. It's like the days are still getting kind of warm, but the mornings and the evenings are definitely seasonal, and I'm very happy. The only problem to that is I have not had a chance to switch my clothes around, like my summer and winter clothes. Do you guys do that? I know some people do that and others don't. I thought everybody did that because that's how we did it when I was growing up. But apparently some people don't. My husband didn't used to. He used to just have all of his clothes out here in the closet before we got married. And then when we were getting married, I'm like, hey, I'm going to need half of that closet. So that was a challenge because he has way more clothes than I do. My husband is sort of, I won't call him a clothes horse, but he never gets rid of clothes. Whereas I'm constantly purging stuff. It's like, if I haven't worn you in a year or two, you're out of here. I don't like keeping stuff like that. So anyway, I have not gotten a chance to switch my clothes around. Maybe this weekend. And as soon as I do that, then we'll have like 80-degree days again or something. But like none of my sweaters are out except I think I have 2 that I left out all year. And then I've got sample sweaters, but I don't tend to wear those a lot. So yeah, I need to switch things around because what I'm wearing now is one of the few long sleeve things I left out to wear on those cool days. It's just a lightweight knit top. But this is not something I wove, just in case you were wondering. This is actually a scarf that I was given for my birthday many years ago by a friend who I have not talked to in years. I mean, like, we lost touch, not for any bad reason. It's just that's what happens sometimes. You lose touch with people. But she got it for me for my birthday one year, and I love it because it seems very Halloween-y. I mean, it's fallish, but I always think of it as Halloween. And this year, I think it's because Emma's home and she loves Halloween. I'm just in such a pre-Halloween mode. Like, I want all of the fall, but especially Halloween stuff out. So we decorated. We put all the Halloween decorations out. I'm not sure what Bill's kind of like, because I don't think Halloween's big for him. And we don't get trick-or-treaters here. Being out in the middle of nowhere and having a gated driveway. He joked, he's like, if we do actually ever get a trick-or-treater, you need to give them like a lot of stuff because they went to a lot of trouble to get to our front door. I don't think that'll be happening. We may get a stray cat or something, but probably not kids. Anyway, let's jump into the knitting, shall we? I'm going to try to keep this moving along. I actually recorded this yesterday outside, late afternoon. It was breezy, so there was all kinds of wind noise. And being later in the day, there was all kinds of road noise because, like rush hour traffic, such as it is on our country road. But it gets noisy. So I went to edit it this morning. I'm like, I am not going to try to edit all this noise out. So here we are, take 2. But the only good thing about that is everything that I had out for yesterday is still out. So I didn't have to spend too much time gathering things this morning. But we're going to jump into the knitting. And I only really have one item to share with you knitting wise, and that is a pair of socks, which you have not seen since last fall actually. I have to tell you, currently my mojo has gone back down. It's been up and down and up and down and up and down for months now, but none of my projects that I have on the needles currently, or even in hibernation, really none of them are calling to me. I was just feeling very meh about everything. But as I was looking through my long languishing whips, I was actually looking for a specific one, and I couldn't find it, which is a little troubling, but I've rearranged things so much in the past 6 months that it's not surprising. It's around somewhere. But in the course of looking for that whip, I found another one that I'd almost totally forgotten about. And it was the pair of socks that I started when we were on vacation last fall, our trip up to the Gaspé Peninsula. And this was the socks. Do you remember these? I know I showed you this first one when I finished it last year. So this is one of my Halloween Spookle sock blanks, and I used one of the Halloween Brights micro sets to insert little stripes as I went, just very random, and then a contrasting heel flap and the contrasting toe. So I had gotten about to here while we were on vacation last year. And then when we got home, I knit the foot, but it was too close to Halloween at that point, and I knew I was probably not going to get the second sock finished. So I put it away, figuring I'll pull it out sometime in the intervening year and get the socks done for this Halloween. So thankfully, I did find them because, like I said, I pretty much kind of forgot that they were even there. And so I pulled it out and I did the second sock. And here it is. And I got it done really fast. I got it done probably in less than a week. They are not identical. They were not meant to be. And it's funny because I did not take any notes on how I was doing the first one. I mean, I knew the stitch count and everything like that. But as far as these stripes, on the first one, I was just sort of randomly putting them in. But I was putting 3 rounds of the sock blank in between each of the stripes where there's more than one stripe. But then when I started doing this one, I thought I was just doing 2 because the stripes themselves are 2 rounds each. And so I thought, oh, well, there's 2 rounds in between too. And it wasn't working out, like, to get them to match up. I was having to make these sections larger to get the stripes to match up. And then it finally dawned on me, oh, wait. And I counted again, and there were actually supposed to be 3 rounds. So I think this last one I did put 3 rounds in. It's fine. I don't care that they match. The only other thing I did weirdly is somehow this heel flap ended up being larger than the original one. I'm not sure how I did that. I think my gauge was different doing the second sock than the first one, but then when you leave a year lapse in between 2 socks, chances are your gauge is probably going to be a little different. But they're done. They are quite tall. They're kind of slouching down on these blockers right now, but like that's a very tall sock for me. I usually make my socks, like they usually come to about here on the sock blockers, if that. I'm more and more partial to shorter cuffed socks. Not shorty socks per se, but like, about 3 or 4 inches. That's good. So these are quite tall for me. Under any other circumstances, I would probably give them like to my daughter or something, because the foot is also a little bit longer than it needs to be. But these socks have really good memories knit into them because I started them last year on our trip. I knit on them in some really interesting places. At the very top of Mount Washington, the Auto Road. Is that in Vermont or is it New Hampshire? I know it was in New England. It was like the second night we stayed near there. I'm totally blanking. Maybe I'll put it down here, what state it's in. But anyway, it's very high, and the wind speeds up at the top get very high as well. We could not drive our motorcycles up there because it was very windy that day, so we took one of the vans that they have, and we got up to the top, and so we have a picture of me knitting on this sock while standing at the very peak of Mount Washington, knitting in 74-mile-per-hour winds. That was an experience. If I can remember, I will put that picture in here. Anyway, so I knit on it there, and then I also knit on it when we were in Gaspé. The Appalachian Trail actually ends up there. It goes all the way to, is that the ocean or the bay? I don't know. I guess the water up there. Sorry, I'm still sort of on my first cup of coffee today because it's early. It's not even 9 o'clock in the morning, and yeah. Anyway, my husband actually walked down all of the steps and out onto the platform that takes you to the legitimate end of the Appalachian Trail. I was not feeling all the steps, so I stayed up at the top and was standing by the sign, and I was able to look over, so I have a picture of that as well. I was knitting on the sock at the end of the world, or Land's End. I don't remember what they call it, but I'll try to put that picture in here too. I started them September 22nd last year, because that I do have on my project page, and I finished them on September 22nd this year, so it took exactly a year to the day for me to finish that pair of socks. Anyway, so I have a new pair of Halloween socks. Yay. Just my plain vanilla sock pattern, you know, a little bit of ribbing at the top, stockinette, heel flap, toe, nothing fancy or exciting. It was just a lot of fun to work with the speckles. So, okay, that is it. That is all, literally, that's all I've knit on at all since we talked last. While my mom was here, I knit on that while we were playing Scrabble, because we play a lot of Scrabble when my mom's here. So I did knit on that when we played Scrabble a few nights, but other than that, I did not work on anything. I spent a lot of time cooking and baking while she was here. I feel like I cooked more that week than I've cooked in the last 6 months, and I have cooked a lot in the last 6 months. But anyway, we baked and just had fun hanging out. I'll talk a little bit more about her visit in 10% later on. But other than that, the only other crafty kind of thing I did goes back to the the natural dyeing that I started talking about last time. Here, I need to move some things. Here's what's left of that sock plank, by the way. I'm not dyeing these sock blanks this year for Halloween, but I am hoping to do other sock blanks that will not look quite like this, but it will have the same colors, those same Halloween-y colors in it. So they're not done yet, though. So, okay, I have to move things and stuff here. So let's talk about the natural dyeing that I've been playing with. I showed you last time the 2 skeins of yarn that I had done with black walnut, and these were the skeins that I had mordanted using alum. And they're still tied together just because I have little tags on them. But anyway, this one's a non-superwash. This is a superwash. These were mordanted in alum and then put in the walnut dye bath. And these are the colors. So you already saw those. So then I had another set that I had done in the alum, and then I iron modified it. So I put it, let's see, where are they? Nope, that one's not it. Here's the set. Okay, so this one also went in the alum, so when they came out, they looked like this. And then I added iron. Well, actually, I poured some of it off and then added iron to that portion of the dye bath. I don't know that I needed to put it in the dye bath. I could have just made an iron bath. The walnut bath was not exhausted by any stretch of the imagination. Matter of fact, I've got it saved in jars to use again. But I did put it in the dye. So these 2 skeins were modified with iron, but they also kind of got a second helping of the walnut as well. And so that's how they turned out. Look at those colors. Oh, they're showing up so well. So this is the non-superwash and the superwash, which makes sense. Superwash takes yarn or takes dye more deeply. So again, just for comparison's sake, this was just with the alum before going in the dye, and then this is after they had been in the dye and gone in the iron bath. So I just think it looks so cool. So anyway, there were those. But then I wanted to try doing it with yarn that had not been mordanted in alum, because with walnut you don't have to. You don't have to pre-mordant your yarn. Walnut has a lot of tannins in it, and that acts as a mordant in and of itself. And so I got more yarn, and nope, what is that? Okay. So this is the set that I did without mordanting first. It just went straight in the walnut dye bath. And you can see the difference. It's a little lighter. So these were the ones with alum. This is without alum up here. So again, non-superwash, superwash. So similar color tones, just lighter. Then I did a set where it went in without being mordanted first, and then I put that one in the iron bath as well. Look how dark they turned out. Just amazing. I just love how they looked. So no alum, but in the iron mordant or modifier. So that's the difference. Big, big difference there, huh? I mean, these are definitely like a gray verging on black. There's definitely brown undertones, but very, very darkened. I just love it. So that was my my walnut experiment, and I love these colors and these 4 skeins of the non-superwash, which is my Ridgetop DK, by the way. I would love to put these into a project together. This is 800 yards, and I think I would like to make a big squishy shawl, kind of like my hedge witch shawl, but not the hedge witch pattern. I want to find a different pattern, but I think that's what these are going to become at some point. I haven't decided, and I'm not sure what I'll use the superwash for, but that will also become a project at some point. So that was the walnut. But then my husband was weed whacking one day, and we had a small patch of goldenrod in the one part of our yard, and I had noticed he had cut it down, and I thought I could dye with that. So I went out the next day and I rescued all of just the flower bits of the goldenrod, and I made a dye bath with that. So now goldenrod you do need to mordant because to make it color fast. And mordanting, in case you don't know, is basically a step where you usually pre-treat your yarn with alum, or there are other things you can use. I use alum because that's what I have. And I'm honestly not versed well enough to tell you what other things you can use as a mordant. You can use iron, but iron's not recommended too much for animal-based, protein-based fibers because it can break them down and deteriorate them over time. But the mordant allows the dye stuffs to bond with the yarn or the fiber. So that's what I'm meaning when I say mordant. Anyway, so I had 2 more skeins that I had already mordanted with alum from my first round, and I just hadn't used them. So I took those and I used those for the goldenrod, and this is the first skein I got. Look how pretty. Isn't that a lovely yellow? It's like a buttery yellow. And I left it in quite a while. Actually, it was overnight. They were left in the dye pot, and this is how dark it got. I was very happy with how dark it got. So this is alum mordanted and then just in the goldenrod bath. Then I took the other one and I put in an iron modifier bath, but I did not put the iron in with the goldenrod bath this time. I just made it its own bath. It was just the iron, and I used a lot less iron this time because I think I over ironed it with the walnut. Hang on. Needed a sip there. Yeah, and here's what I got. And that was so much fun to watch it change because I just dipped it in and you could just see it start to change. And so I left it in. I didn't leave it in long. I left it in for maybe 5-10 minutes at the max. And this is the green I got, which is just so pretty. It's just this like light olive green. And here they are together, and I think they would make a lovely color work project together. Yeah, so anyway, that's that. But then I wanted to experiment a little bit more, and I had not had any superwash yarn pre-mordanted. So I thought I would experiment and put a couple skeins of superwash yarn in the iron bath, which I know I just said you're really not supposed to do that, but I just wanted to try it. And so this is what the yarn looks like having just gone into the iron. It did not go into the goldenrod bath at all. So it's just sort of a very slightly grayish taupe, very, very light. I don't even know if you can tell that the colors changed at all. If you saw a white skein of yarn next to it, you would know that it was different. But I thought it was really cool, so I just left it as it was. But the other one I took and I put in the goldenrod after the fact, and here it is. So it's really very similar in color. I wasn't sure if it would color differently because it had gone in the mordant first and then in the dye bath, but because the mordant was also, I guess, acting as a modifier before it was even modifying the dye, I'm not exactly sure how that works. But again, the color did not turn out super differently. So I don't know. And honestly, these yarns that I put in the iron do not feel crunchy. So I think that's the key, not using a lot of iron. I used very little. And it doesn't take much to do the color changes. Yeah, so and I did actually have a micro skein that I decided the last minute just to see what it would do. I didn't even soak it first. Usually you would soak yarn before putting it in your dye. I took it and I just threw it in the pot with this skein when this was the one that I had put in the iron first and then put in the goldenrod. I just wanted to see how it would absorb the dye. And it did. Like, it was in there long enough, it got itself wet, and then it did take on the dye. It was definitely lighter than this, but it was green. It was not that yellow. And I think what probably happened is, since this had already been in iron and then I put it in the goldenrod bath, I think some of the iron from the skein probably leached into the bath, and I guess basically would have contaminated it or modified the whole batch, even though that was not my intention. So that was also really good to know that would work that way. So if I ever wanted to do that again, I would probably have to have a separate dye bath to put it in if I didn't want to change the color of the whole batch. So I don't know. But again, this is all just experimental for me at this point, and I am enjoying it, and I'm going to end up with like a whole bunch of yarn that's just been played with and experimented with, and that's fine. I have some acorns, and right now we've got a ton of acorns laying in our driveway that I keep picking up, but I have some I'd saved from last year too, so I may experiment with acorns next. And I also recently went for a walk down at the little park down near where we live, and oh my gosh, there are fields and fields of goldenrod down there. So if I wanted to play with goldenrod again, I have an ample supply. However, I also found a couple of elderberry bushes down there, so I may go down there and just harvest a little bit of elderberries just to see what I can do. Yeah, it's fun to play. So anyway, that is all of my creativity work that I've done in the last couple of weeks. I do have a couple things on deck. I pulled this skein of yarn out the other day. This is from Urban Girl Yarns, which is a new to me dyer. I got this skein last November when I went to Columbus to Vogue Knitting Live, and they had a booth there, so I purchased this. The tag says DK. It's not actually DK. The label is correct. It's their Virginia base, which is a 90-10 superwash merino nylon fingering weight, 480 yards for 125 grams, so it's a big skein. But the reason I bought it was because it was the Ruth Bader Ginsburg colorway, and so after she passed away this weekend, which I was so sad, just heartbroken over that. But anyway, I thought now is the time to pull this skein out, and I want to make something in her memory. I don't want to make socks because I want to be able to wear it and see it, and I wear a lot of these kind of scarfy things like this in the fall and winter. And by the way, I didn't mention that I've got my Bertie Parker shawl cuff on with it. I love this thing. Shawl cuffs are just so versatile. So, but I like wearing this. And Bertie, her name is not Bertie, it's Christy. But anyway, she makes such lovely things. And anyway, so that's what's on there in case you were wondering. Anyway, I think what this is going to become is an Augustine shawlette, which I've made a couple of those in the past. I have one actually that is fall colors and I wear it a lot in the fall. However, it is also put away because for some reason I actually like put knitwear away, like my accessories, and I just haven't gotten the fall and winter ones out yet. So but I feel like you can never have too many of them, and I think that would be really nice because it's got these very autumnal oranges and grays and browns in it, but it's also, you know, got the light kind of background in it, but it's got some bright yellows. You can see that in there, and this peachy color. So I think it would probably be good for both fall and spring. So anyway, I think that is what this is going to become. And the other thing that I would also like to make, also in memory of Justice Ginsburg, is Andrea Rangel, or Rangel. I'm not entirely sure how she pronounces her last name. She has for a while had a couple of sweater patterns out called Dissent, D-I-S-S-E-N-T. And they're colorwork sweaters. One's a pullover, one's a cardigan. And the motif is the same sort of design that Justice Ginsburg would wear over her robe that I think it's called a jabot. It's like a collar, and it's very iconic. If you've seen pictures of her, you've probably seen it. So that's the color work mimics that, and it's the collar she would wear a lot of times if she was going to enter a dissenting opinion on something. Anyway, I've wanted to make the sweater for a while. I have the pattern. I'm not feeling a colorwork sweater right now. It's beautiful, and I've seen some lovely ones. But Andrea is releasing today a hat pattern with that same motif on it. It's going to be called the Dissent Toque. She announced that last week that she was releasing that, and that was prior to Justice Ginsburg passing away. So that's kind of interesting timing. So anyway, I intend to buy that pattern and make the toque because I think that'll be a little bit more of a manageable color work project for me right here at the moment. So anyway, those are two things I think that I have on my horizons knitting wise. I've got a lot of things on my horizons that I keep thinking about, but right now it's all sort of in the imaginary knitting stage just because, again, my knitting mojo is like up, down, up, down, up, down. So you do what you can. Okay, so moving on. Let me check my notes, see where we're at. My funky fringy cow design, speaking of designs, we're pretty much done with the testing phase. I need to just double check and make sure I've heard back from all of my testers, but I'm going to do that today, hopefully. And then I'm going to work on finishing up the final version of the pattern, and I will have that published before the end of September. Now, I will say when I first publish a pattern, I usually offer it at a discount for the first week or two, and I intend to do that with this one as well. I'm not sure that I will be able to podcast, or that I will be podcasting again before that discount period is over. So if you want to know about the discount, because I don't have it set up yet, so I can't even tell you about it right now. But if you want to know about the discount period, I would highly recommend subscribing to my newsletter, which you can do from the fibernymphdyworks.com website. There's links up at the top. There's a link down at the bottom. There's links all over the place to join the newsletter. Yes, so that would be a good way, or follow the Fiber Nymph Dye Works account on Instagram or the Fiber Nymph Dye Works page on Facebook. Those are the best ways. Again, I always say this, best ways to hear news in between podcasts. And since I don't podcast weekly anymore, if you want to stay, abreast of what's going on, that's the best way to do that. But again, it will be out by the end of September, and I'm very excited about that. Okay, let's see. already talked about natural dyeing. Let's talk about knit-alongs for a moment. The 20 and 20 challenge, the third quarter, is coming to a close at the end of September. So I will be doing some drawings at the beginning of October, the first podcast in October, for the third quarter participants. The chatter thread, the third quarter chatter thread. But the fourth quarter will then be starting for October 1st, and that means that I will be having the lists thread unlocked from October 1st through October 15th. So that will be your final chance this year to modify your lists for what you want to be working on, that you're challenging yourself. Change things, add things, delete things, do whatever you want to your list, because again, this is your challenge. You're challenging yourself however works best for you. So you can look forward to that. And then the challenge is over as of the end of December. So then in January, we'll do the final prize drawings. I will not be running a 20 and 20-ish challenge for next year, just in case you're wondering. Obviously next year it would be 21 and 21, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to get away from year-long knit-alongs next year. I just sort of need a break from those. So I do have ideas for other things that we'll be doing throughout the year, but just wanted to give you the heads up in case you were wondering. There will not be another year-long challenge like the 20 and 20. But I do appreciate everybody who's taking part in it this year. That's been a lot of fun, and the chatter has been just wonderful. That list, or that thread, has been very active all year long. Okay, another cal that I wanted to talk about, which is not one that I am hosting, but it's one that I'm taking part in, and I wanted to let you guys know about it in case you didn't know already, and you also wanted to take part in it, and that is the Down Cellar Studio Pigskin Party knit-along, which Jen from Down Cellar Studio, she's Boston Jen 1 on Instagram. I think she's Boston Jen on Ravelry too, but I could be wrong on that. But the group is the Down Cellar Studio podcast. Jen has a wonderful audio podcast. I've followed it for years and years, and I've always enjoyed it. She sponsors the Pigskin Party knit-along every fall/winter during the NFL season. Obviously the NFL season is a little different this year because of, COVID, and, there's no fans in the stands for most of the games. I guess that varies depending on where the games are being played. My mom, I don't watch football a lot anymore just because I'm usually doing other things, but I am by default a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, having lived in the Pittsburgh area all my life. And so when my mom and her husband were up here this past week, they were like, we have to watch the game on Sunday because they don't get the games down in Florida usually. And so they watched the game on Sunday, and it was just so weird because there were no fans in the stands, and yet they were basically like, I think they were just piping it in for the TV audience. Like the crowd noise was being overlaid over the video. I don't think that the players would have been hearing that. At least I'm assuming not. That would be kind of odd. So it had to have been strange for them to be playing in sort of silence. I would think that would be a very different playing experience. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, the Pigskin Party. As Fiber Nymph Dye Works, I have participated as a sponsor in the Pigskin Party for several years now, and that's always a fun thing. And I am a sponsor again this year as well. But I decided to participate in the actual knit-along part of it, which I've never done before. I think I just get kind of overwhelmed with it. But this year, I was just feeling like, you know what, it would be really fun to participate and interact with other knitters who are participating in the same knit-along. And see, that's the thing, like I participate with you guys in the threads for our knit-alongs, but I don't participate in the knit-alongs because I'm the one hosting them. So that's why I like to do things like Stash Dash, which I totally sucked at this year, or these other kind of knit-alongs that other people do. I don't do knit-alongs in general very often because I usually stink at them, but I'm committing myself to being active with the team that I was assigned to, Team 19. We're in the Llama football conference. I don't remember what. There's two different conferences, and I'm in the Llama conference. So anyway, but our little group is fun and chatty, so I've been trying to check in there at least once a day. And then she's also running, as part of this, the Tailgate Talk Challenge, which is, it's happening on Instagram. I think the hashtag is DCS Pigskin Tailgate 20. It's a long hashtag. But you can also do it within your smaller group in the general Pigskin Party chatter. And that is answering questions. I think it's 30 prompts that she put together. And so, it's like those 30-day prompt challenges that people do. So this one's specific for the Pigskin Party. And that's been fun. I have been posting that on Instagram. And I think I'm caught up. I didn't do today's yet, but anyway, so that's been sort of fun. So we'll see how much I actually am able to do towards that. I mean, it's all very... There's like no pressure, you do what you can do and take part how you can take part. So that's kind of my kind of knit along. Okay, so that's knit along stuff, but I will put the links to that if you're interested in checking out the Pigskin Party. I don't think it's ever too late to join into that. Like, you can join in at any time. Yeah, so we're going to just go to 10% because I don't have anything else for 90% for you this week. And really 10% is just, my mom was here for a week. It was wonderful to see her. I had not seen her since last December when they were up here for the holidays. I was supposed to see them back in May. I was going to go down to Florida, but obviously that did not happen. So it was good to see them. My mom was up here the whole time. Her husband did go to visit some of his family that is just a few hours away. A couple of his brothers, so he got to do that and see them. And then the rest of the time we were just here. Really, that's all we were. We were just here. Like, we didn't go anywhere. We played, well, that's not true. We did do one thing. I'll tell you about that in a second. But we played a lot of Scrabble, like I said, which is always fun. We cooked, we baked. I did work a little bit while she was here, which I didn't want to have to do, but I had work I had to get done. So she did come downstairs and she helped me out with little things. That was fun. I think she enjoyed that. But the one day, which I think it turned out to be, what day was it? They got here Tuesday. It might have been Wednesday. Yeah, because her husband left that morning to go do his thing. So Wednesday, my husband had purchased a new motorcycle, like a brand new, like from a dealer motorcycle. He was trading in one of the ones that he had that he doesn't really like. And so the week before he had gone and he had ordered this motorcycle and they needed to get some things in for it. So they called Wednesday morning and said the bike was ready. Here's when you can pick it up. And that afternoon was one of the options. And so it was a beautiful day. And I had said to my mom, I'm like, hey, are you up for an adventure? Because I'll take, my sidecar rig, my Euro. And I said, I can drive that and you can ride in the sidecar and we can, go down with Bill to pick up the new bike. And she was good with that. She's ridden in the sidecar before, so she was game for that. And it was just a lovely, lovely day. And I knew that it's only an hour away. It was like right over the border in Maryland. And so we went to do that. And we took nice windy roads, very scenic and everything. So we got down there. And my mom and I just hung out in the parking lot because we didn't really need to be in the dealership for much of anything other than to use the bathroom once. And so, it took an hour or so for him to get all the paperwork done and everything. And then we left to come home and we stopped, got gas, and then we're driving home. And, obviously we're following him. Now, you might remember from me talking before, my husband and I have helmets that have communicators so we can talk to each other when we're on motorcycle trips and stuff. However, since my mom was with me and I wanted her to be able to communicate with me, she was wearing the other helmet that had the communicator on it. So we could talk, but I could not talk to Bill. So he was just riding in front of us, and I said to him, I'm like, hey, make sure you keep an eye on your rear view mirror, make sure you don't lose us. He's like, oh, that's fine. And I knew it would be. So anyway, we're driving along. We're maybe 15, 20 minutes into the return trip home, and we're going up this huge hill. We were in Friendsville, Maryland, if that means anything to you guys. We were on this big hill. And all of a sudden, my bike started being weird. like in a way that I hadn't experienced before. Now, mind you, this is a sidecar rig, so 3 wheels, thank goodness. But at first I thought it was running out of gas, and I thought that can't be. We just put gas in this thing. That can't be. And I thought, okay, well, I was downshifting because I was going up this big hill, so maybe I just didn't get into gear right. So I downshifted again, and it still was like jerking to the left, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a flat tire. It just like, it's one of those things, kind of like whenever I was on the other trip and I realized suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, I'm out of gas. You know, like these things I haven't experienced, but like it takes a minute to click in because I know what happens when these things happen, just, you know, theoretically. And so I slowed down to a stop, and there were cars behind me. I mean, we were in a very remote area, it seemed. So I slowed down and I waved the cars in front of us, and I looked down, and lo and behold, my rear tire was flat. Oh my, great. And at this point, Bill was up the hill and over the crest, and I could not see him anymore. And we were in a bad spot. Like, there was no good place for me to just pull over. There was no berm on this road. And so I looked behind us, and about 10, 15 feet back, there was kind of a patch, like, on the side of the road. Because there was also, a hill, like a really sharp hill right there. But there was an area that I could at least pull over and not be on the road. So that's what I did. I just really slowly reversed and pulled over and stopped. And, you know, I'm like, well, he'll notice eventually that we're not back there. So we just sat there for a couple minutes, and lo and behold, we see him coming back down the hill, and he slowed down and looked, and I'm like, flat tire. And he's like, oh. So he got to the bottom of the hill, turned around, came back up. The thing is, where we were, again, there was just no good safe place for him to stop and park long enough to try to help us. Now, here's the thing. When you have a flat tire on the road, you either have to change it right there or fix it in some way, or you have to trailer your bike home. Well, in this case, the Ural, in case you're not familiar with Urals, I will try to put a picture of this scene in here. But anyway, it's a motorcycle with a sidecar, comes that way, and they have a spare tire on the back of the sidecar. It's mounted there, and it's good for any of the 3 tires on the bike. It interchanges with any of them. That's awesome. Except, one, we didn't have the spare tire with us because when we were on our trail riding trip, the one bracket for it broke, and he's still waiting for the replacement part to come in, so it's not there. Now, we always carry like a spare inner tube, and the Ural itself, when we bought it, it came with the most extensive toolkit we'd ever seen. Matter of fact, I joked, it's like, oh, we could be out in the middle of nowhere and totally disassemble the bike and put it back together with this toolkit. And that is true. We could have changed the inner tube. We assumed the tire was okay, although we didn't really know that at that point. However, to do that, you have to put the bike up on the center stand. We could not put the bike up on the center stand while sitting on a hill. It just wasn't going to happen. And where we were, we just couldn't have done it anyway. It was very dangerous. So we were like going back and forth on the different options. And I'm like, you're going to have to go home and get the trailer. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to go home and get the trailer. And we're going to have to tow it home. And then we talked a little bit more, and I'm finally like, no, you have to go get the trailer. And so that's what he did. Unfortunately, we were about 45 minutes away from home at that point. So I'm like, it's fine. We'll just sit here. It was, again, a nice day. I mean, it was getting later. It was around 5:30 at that point, but it was a nice day. It was sunny. It wasn't raining. And again, it was not, even though we weren't in a super safe spot to be walking around, I mean, it was a low enough traveled road that I didn't feel like we were going to get in trouble. So he left, and I felt bad because he really had to, hurry up to get home, and he was on his new bike, and that's not the way you want to try out a new bike. So anyway, long story short, I know it's way too late for that, but anyway, about 2.5 hours later, he finally gets back with the trailer. By this point, it is dark. It is chilly. We were getting a little cold, but it was fun. I sat there and knit on my sock. I had that with me because I never go anywhere without knitting. I had brought it with me to work on in the parking lot while we were waiting for the new bike, but I was glad I had it with me. And my mom was sitting there on her phone, and we were just laughing. We were having such a good time, just stranded by the side of the road. Would you believe, in 2.5 hours, do you know how many people stopped to ask us if we were okay or if we needed help? Two people. I thought that was crazy, because it's not like we were big, scary, burly guys that you might not want to stop if you were, afraid of us or something. 2 women stranded on a motorcycle on the side of the road. I was sort of surprised by that. I don't know why, but it's not like anybody could do anything. But it was nice that the 2 people who did stop stopped. Everybody else just whizzed on by. So anyway, long story. Again, too late to make it short, but we got home safely, and it was just a long afternoon, and it was quite the adventure. After that, my mom was like, I'm not sure I want to go on any more adventures while I'm here. Can we just play Scrabble and sit on the deck? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. We can do that. So, and my daughter had stopped, and she'd picked up Chinese for us on her way home, so we at least had dinner to eat when we got home. Oh, it was funny. So that was my story from when my mom was here. All right, well, that's everything for 10%. So we're going to move into shop news now, and I have prizes to announce because I totally forgot to do those last time. I was supposed to announce the August monthly makes chatter winners last time, and I did not remember about that until I was editing. I was like, I forgot. So I'm going to do it now. And since I am a podcast late in doing it, I decided to do 2 winners this time instead of just 1. So we had in August, the chatter posts number 613 through 767 were from August. So I did random number generator, and the first winner it chose was post 731, who is Iona Paint, and that is Christine. So congratulations, Christine. And then the next, well, it wasn't the next number it chose because there were a couple more numbers and they ended up being all my posts. But the next viable winner was post number 736, who is Seductive Berry, and that is Maria. So congratulations, Christine and Maria. Let me show you your prize choices. As always, I always pick 1 extra prize for you guys to choose from. Beyond the number of prizes. So we've got 3 prize choices is basically what I'm saying. So the first one, which this looks a little messy because I just pulled this apart as I was taking it out of the basket, but this is a yarn set, self-striping, and a mini that goes with it. And this is the Zest Wishes colorway. This is actually one of the original sets that I dyed for the Yarn Club a couple years ago, back in December of 2018, actually. So this is the original colorway with the mini, and that can be one of your prizes if you would like. Next up is a sock blank. This is a randomly dyed sock blank. It's got this bright red in it, and then there's this bright bluish green, and then there's also this darker kind of bright yellowy green in here. Yeah, again, it was just randomly dyed. It was not dyed to be a Christmas sock blank, but it does have Christmassy vibes. And then there's also a lot of the natural color as well. So that is another one of your prize choices. And lastly, it's one of the Mountain Tweed, the BFL Mountain Tweed minis that I had in the shop a couple weeks ago. One of those sets, I held one back for a prize. So this is 6 different colors of Mountain Tweed fingering in the old mini base, which was the BFL nylon, superwash BFL nylon. So those are your 3 choices. So Christine and Maria, please either email me at fibernymph@gmail.com or PM me on Ravelry and let me know your top 2 prize choices, as well as your mailing addresses. Even though I know I have your mailing addresses somewhere, it's just always easier if you send that to me whenever you're letting me know your prize choices, and I will get your prizes out to you as soon as I can. Okay, so the 3rd quarter of monthly makes is also coming to a close at the end of September, so we'll have those prizes as well. So if you're still working on your grams, you have about a week left to get your 300 grams for the quarter in, and then the 4th quarter will begin October 1st. All right, next up is shop update. There will be a shop update this coming Saturday, which is September 26th, and it will be happening at noon Eastern. The reason I chose that time is because on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, I will be doing a YouTube live stream as my part of the Pigskin Party virtual kickoff events. So I will be live streaming at 11 a.m. and then the shop update will start at noon. And I'm going to show you what is coming up in the shop update, which also involves the Pigskin Party, because I have my exclusive colorway for the Pigskin Party, and I'm going to be debuting it that day. But I'm going to show you guys now. And it is called Punt. This is how it knits up, and this is what it looks like in the skein. My inspiration for this, obviously, punting in football is when you've tried to do your best to score a touchdown or at least get a field goal in your 4 downs that you're allowed, and you don't quite get there, and so you have to punt the ball away to the other team and then hope you can do better the next time. Punting is also kind of what we say whenever we're, well, that didn't work out, I guess I'll punt and try something else. So that was sort of the theme that I was going with for this colorway. And in that way, I had been thinking about different colorways I wanted to do for my exclusive for the Pigskin Party this year, and none of them were really like exciting me or panning out the way I wanted them to. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to punt and I'm going to pull together some colors that I really like, and I'm going to put them together and see how it goes. And this is what I came up with, and I really love it. So this is a 5-stripe colorway that mirrors itself. So the stripes do not repeat consecutively, they go back and forth. So you've got this blue, brown, magenta, buttercup, and then hunter green, and then it goes backwards through those colors in the striping pattern, and then that repeats. So that is the colorway, Punt. I will have it available on Bounce, Bedazzled, Traveler, and Cozy, which is worsted weight, Traveler sport weight. I will have some in stock ready to ship, a small amount, but the rest of it will be dyed to order and will go out within 2 to 3 weeks after the point of being ordered. So you can look for that. So that is the first thing that will definitely be in the shop starting on Saturday. But beyond that, I do have fall and Halloween colorways, which is what I promised you last time was going to be in the shop update. So let me start with my new colorways first, because those are always fun. So I promised you that I would have a new pie colorway, and I do. It is sort of, I'm considering a Halloween / fall colorway, because it's not uber Halloweeny. It's not like, but it's definitely Halloweeny in my mind, and it's called Pumpkin Pie. So it's my pie striping pattern, which if you're not familiar, the stripe sizes correspond to the numbers in pi. 3.14159. So the sizing, this is the 3, this is the 1, this is the 4, this is a 1, this is a 5, this is a 9. You get the idea. So pumpkin pie, the colors each represent a different variety of pumpkin, and that will be spelled out in the listing. I'm not going to try to tell you what they all are right now because I will get it wrong. Here is the skein, and I just think it's so much fun. I love pumpkins. We've got a couple pumpkin decorations out there, which you'll see in the shop listing photos because I use them as props. But anyway, pumpkins are great for fall. You can do them for jack-o'-lanterns. You can just have them sitting out for fall decorations. You make pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving usually. There's pumpkin spice everything at this time of the year. So I think pumpkins make a great, just all-purpose fall season colorway. So there you have it. Pumpkin pie. That will be new. I'll have it on several bases in the shop, ready to ship. I will probably also add dye-to-order listings once the ones are sold out that are in the shop. But there should be several for you guys in the shop. So that is one new colorway. The next one is another, it's just a fall colorway that I've had in mind for a while, and I really wanted to do this one. It's called Deep Fall, And it's just like it sounds. I chose these colors that I really like, but I deepened them by modifying them with some darker dyes, and I love how it turned out. So this is Deep Fall. It's looking a little brighter right now just because there's a lot of light hitting it. Yeah, that might be a better representation of it back here than way up here. Anyway, so there is this deep oceany blue. Then there's this brown that has been modified. It's almost like a gray brown. This is my Merlot colorway, which you have seen many times, but again, that has been deepened. This orange has been deepened to kind of a rusty orange. I love how that color turned out, actually. And then this is eggplant, which is also deepened. I will let you know this blue and this brown are two new dye colorways that I'm working with, and I love them. I just love their depth, even without the modified element to it. So this is Deep Fall, and I will also have mini skein sets in all of these colors on Bounce. I'm trying to think what I have them on. Bounce, Bedazzled, Mountain Tweed, the new Mountain Tweed minis, and Yak, my Yak base, Linnaeus. I have minis of those, and so I did these minis on that. So those will also be in the shop. Okay, and then what else do I have for you? I have Hallow Pie. Oh wait, did I show you the skein? Here's Deep Fall in the skein. Just love it. Okay. I don't have it up here to show you, but hopefully I'll have pictures that I can put in. Hallow Pie is my Halloween Pie Day colorway that I did a couple of years ago. I've done up a little batch of that for the shop. I am going to have sock blanks. Again, they're not going to look like the one I showed you from last year. It's not going to be all these speckles. It's going to be a bit different, but it will have those 5 Halloween-y colors in it. There will be the black and orange the black and orange inversibles that everybody loves for Halloween. I'll have a bunch of those in the shop. And then again, the minis in Deep Fall, and I'll also have the Halloween brights that I used in my socks. Those same 5 bright Halloween-y colors, they will be in minis. If I can get more things dyed, I will. Again, while my mom was here, I was trying not to work a lot, so I didn't get quite as much done as I had originally planned to for this update. But my plan is to do a second fall/Halloween update, probably heavier on the fall than the Halloween. Either the 9th or 10th of October. I haven't decided which date yet. So you can watch for that. And just to let you know, that will be the last update I'll be doing until November, because I will be working on finishing up all of the Holiday Pops mini collections through pretty much all of October. That's going to be my primary activity at that point. So yeah, that last update at the beginning of October will be it until we get to the beginning of November, and then I will be focusing on holiday and winter colorways at that point. So the other thing that will be in the shop for this Saturday, though, I'm going to be putting together bundles of what I would say older stock. I mean, a lot of it has gone because I did some sales over the last bit of summer, but yeah. Anyway, a lot of it has cleared out. But as I've mentioned to you before, you know, I didn't end up having shows, but I had started dyeing my show inventory before everything shut down. So I have a lot of yarn that's just sitting in the shop that normally would have sold at shows. And I would really like to clear it out at this point at the end of the year. So I'm going to be putting things together in bundles. They will be discounted. Not giving them away, not going to be 50% off, but they will be a nice discount if you would like to grab some of those. So you can be looking for those as well. I think that's it. I think that's everything in the shop. The last thing I will mention to you, and I meant to say this actually at the beginning of shop news, but I wanted to make sure I got those giveaways done. All of my September sales, including ones that have already happened. I'm going to be donating 10% of all of my September sales, not just the profits, but all of my sales. 10% is going to be donated to 2 or 3 organizations that are helping to give relief to those who are being affected by the fires out west. I have just been heartbroken as I've watched the news about those fires out in California and Oregon and Washington, and I know there's other places too, but I'm going to choose a few different organizations to send a percentage of my sales from September to those, just to offer a little bit of relief. So if you have purchased from me in September, or if you're going to purchase from me before the end of the month, I just want to say thank you ahead of time for being a part of that donation and helping me help other people who are in need. And if you are someone who has been affected by those fires, please know my thoughts are with you. I wish you all the best. I hope you have not lost anything. And if you have, I hope it's minimal, and I definitely hope it's not life. So anyway, that's everything. That's sort of a little bit of a downer to end the podcast on, but I wanted to make sure you guys knew about that. So that's everything. I hope you have a good rest of September. Again, I'll be coming to you again on Saturday when I do the live stream. Please join in with that. Even if you're not taking part in the Pigskin party, I'd love to have you a part of the live. I'll be showing a lot of the stuff that'll be in the shop that day. I'll be taking questions. If you want to ask me a question ahead of time, that's fine too. And I will try to answer as many questions as I can. And other than that, I will podcast again at the beginning of October. And until then, take care. Maybe I'll see you around social media. And if not, I'll see you in a few days in September for the live stream. I'm babbling now. I'm going to go. Bye.